DC saw what Marvel was doing, so then DC wanted to do their own universe, which is what I was excited about. You know, I love Man of Steel no matter what. I feel like it's underrated. Have you seen Man of Steel?
And still, yeah, I have. Yeah,
What do you think of Man of Steel?
I thought it was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There are problems with it, obviously, but I like Man of Steel. And then Batman vs Superman came in, and then that's when like a bunch of like bullshit happened because people were saying that it was rushed, which is true. It was like 5 movies put into one movie. Yeah, I was like, I do like the movie just because I like how people act in it. Because in real life, people would act like that. If somebody like Superman destroyed a fucking city, like let's say if it was San Francisco or something, people would be like, do we want him here? Like, do we really want him here? Like, I would believe that. Like, people would act like that.
Yeah.
Where if you watch a Marvel movie, I feel like sometimes that when something happens in a Marvel movie, nothing is taken seriously sometimes.
Yeah.
Because what are the Marvel movies mainly known for?
Really, like just superheroes. That's it.
Well, obviously, but like in them, like what, like how did they act? Like what did they do?
I think you can answer that better than me.
Is that in their movies they rely a lot on jokes? When you watch a Marvel movie, are you not laughing?
Yeah, I'll admit, yeah.
In every single Marvel movie, don't they always make a joke?
They always do. They always got to crack in that obligatory joke somewhere.
In any character, for any movie that's been made, tell me one Marvel movie that you can think of that doesn't have too much humor in it.
That's gonna part. I think you have to predate back to before Iron Man. I don't
know. No. This is after Iron Man. This is starting with the universe.
It's difficult to think of a movie that didn't have me laughing at some point.
That's what I'm saying. Now, there are other movies, obviously, that'll make you laugh. Like, I'm not judging a comedy because it's a comedy. It's supposed to make you laugh, That's fine. If you're doing an action movie, sometimes there are jokes, and perfectly fine. If you were involved in something big, doesn't matter what, there would be some humor here and there. But now, because superhero movies are so popular, right? And they're freaking popular if they're starting to have all these big star named actors in them, that they're starting to have high budgets. And then when you see another regular movie, when it comes to a box office opening, which one's going to make more money? A superhero movie or like, let's say, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Well, of course, the superheroes. You've got, of course, the casuals. Then you've got the kids with the families. They're going to spend big bucks on it. They also want to cop the merch for the kids. And you've got the somewhat diehard fans that will just complain every time, oh, it's not in the comic book. This isn't right. This is an injustice.
That's kind of not necessarily here, right? But I would like to talk to Gabe later because I wanted to talk to someone who I know who doesn't watch a lot of movies. That's kind of the point. That's why if you don't watch any movies, like a lot, that's perfectly fun because I actually want to know from that perspective. I would like to talk to Gabe because he knows a lot about comics, like a lot, right? There are times where me and Gabe do talk about it, and I'll tell Gabe, you know what, Gabe? Because he tried to tell me that he has issues with some of the movies because sometimes they don't go directly how they are like in the comics. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, but that's fantasy, right? Like with fantasy, it can go big.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make something into a real life movie, it's going to be kind of hard to do that. You gotta change some things to make it somewhat believable, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And Gabe, I'll remember when we were doing a movie review about, like, I think it was Batman vs Superman, because we had a big talk about that for a movie review. Michael was there, it was me and Gabe. Gabe was talking a lot how he didn't like that. He was like, no, like, I felt like they could have made it like the comics or something. And I was just like, no. I was like, kinda. I was like, but not entirely, dude. Like, they're gonna have to make changes. Like, that'll be too expensive.
Right.
But when it comes to the superhero movies, now when it comes to regular movies also, they try to be like superhero movies when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. They want to like kind of bandwagon on the success of superhero movies, but you just know that it's just never going to work.
It's not.
It never does. And I don't think it ever will.
Here's the thing for me. The thing with the internet is that when you talk about superhero movies, and if you say the wrong thing, you're gonna get fucking smashed.
Absolutely.
Fans can't take criticism. I remember Eternals. Oh my god, I wish somebody would bitch about Eternals on here, okay, and fucking defend that movie, because I don't know how the fuck anybody was even hassling me on that. I made a reaction video on my old second channel. I reacted to the Eternals trailer, and the very first trailer when it came out, I was like, this is so boring. I was like, this is not impressive. I'm not even just saying that. Like, you watch the trailer, they show nothing.
And then you get shitted on by everyone.
I got hella shit on. I had people telling me, oh, well, I mean, you're just some random YouTuber, so, nobody really knows who you are. You know know what, I think you're absolutely wrong. And then I had some people who were agreeing with me, because the thing with me, and I know like Michael, if they're watching this, or Gabe, a lot of what I make very clear is that I'm kind of superheroed out.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make this very clear, because I don't want nobody twisting my words, because people like to talk out of their ass. So before you do, let me make this very clear. I don't hate superhero movies. I love superhero movies, superheroes in general. Otherwise, why would I be a DC fan? I like DC more than Marvel. But like, if I hated superhero movies, then why am I reacting to their trailers? You know, why would I even bother watching their movies? Why do I know a lot about them? That wouldn't make any sense. I'm just kind of worn out about them, because that's all there is. There's superhero movies, there's superhero shows, there's superhero cartoons, right?
Right.
Like everything around now, superhero, even in anime, there's superhero animes. My Hero Academia, you know, that's a superhero anime. But basically, like, everything has superheroes, and I'm kind of like, we fucking get it. I was like, we get it, all right? Like, somebody can fucking run, somebody can fly, somebody has laser eye beams. I was like, we get it, okay? I was like, everything has superheroes.
What was the last time either DC or Marvel have come up with, I don't know, a fresh new idea?
I think when DC kind of started. Here's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
So one of the things on Marvel is the Marvel movies that people really love, and I agree, by the way, I'm not gonna deny this, is that every time when a Marvel movie was released, what happened in the very end of the movie?
Sneak peek of who's next.
Exactly, right? The end credit scene. People like that.
Yeah.
When DC first started out, they wanted to do something different. They didn't do that for the first two movies. When Man of Steel came in, no end credit scene. They were like, no, that's Marvel's thing. We're not going to do that. Batman vs. Superman came. They didn't do that either. They were like, no. Like Zack Snyder, who's the director of the movie, he directed 300. He directed Watchmen.
Right.
He also directed Dawn of the Dead, great zombie movie, the 2004 one. I like that movie.
Yeah.
And he's directed a bunch of other movies. Obviously, Justice League, the Snyderverse. Watch the Snyder Cut, not the Joss Whedon one, okay? That one was shit. Snyder Cut, obviously, right? He made it very clear in an interview, right? Because he said, I don't want to copy Marvel. He was like, you know, like they got their thing going on, I got my thing going on. Marvel, with their movies, was that they were very lighthearted. They were very funny. You watch Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman, they didn't have too many jokes, which I loved. They had a darker tone, which I loved. They were doing their own thing, which was cool. I actually liked that, because I was like, yeah, you don't want every single superhero to kind of have the same tone. I mean, especially if they're from different companies. Let it be different. But then people started complaining that, oh, we don't like the DC universe because it's too dark. And, you know, that there's not enough jokes. Like, they need to be like Marvel. And I remember, no offense to Michael, but Michael used to complain about that a lot. When the movies were first starting years ago, Michael told me he hated DC. And I was like, really? I was like, why do you hate DC? And then he told me, oh, I just hate their movies. And because their movies suck, I hate DC. And I was like, what? And I was like, so you never read a single comic? He was like, no. He was like, convince me. Why is DC good? And I was like, that is an easy question, dude. I was like, what are you talking? Because their movies aren't good. And that's fine. There are people that like just DC, and there are people that just like Marvel. And that's fine. But like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that was some ignorance right there, right? Where if you're gonna hate on something because it's not like Marvel, because that was some of the things that Michael complained about, Kat complained about, was the fact that they were like, I don't know why you like the DC movies. The reason why we like Marvel is because they're always funny. There's always an end credit scene, and they're, you know, it's always lighthearted. And I'm just like, but that's their tone.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, DC wants to do their own thing. They want to separate their identity from Marvel. Of course, it's going to attract some non-believers, of course.
But then here's the thing: Suicide Squad, directed and written by David Ayer. He made Suicide Squad. He heard a lot of the backlash, and he was like, all right, look, guys, clearly fans are bitching that it's not like Marvel, so I think we're gonna have to do that. So he wrote the movie, he directed it, he ended up reshooting it. And then you watch the movie, there was a lot of jokes. And what I like about the jokes is that they're more for adults. Like, I liked it. I thought it was funny, the humor that was there. And then they even had an end credit scene. But despite how you may feel about the movie Suicide Squad, whether it was good or bad to you, I personally didn't like the end credit scene, not because of what it was, but because that was Marvel's thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, yeah.
Because I was just like, you didn't have to do that, in my opinion. Like, that's Marvel. You don't want everybody to be a Marvel. Every time somebody pulled a Marvel move, I just said, oh, look, they did a Marvel. I would always say that. The jokes for Marvel movies or superhero movies in general, let me ask you, right? Because I'm talking a lot. I want to hear from you. Okay. When it comes to the jokes from any superhero movie that you watched, are they funny to you? Or do sometimes they kind of like go under the table and you're like, yeah, stay there?
Wow. Okay. I don't know. Sometimes it'll crack me a small laugh.
No.
But then it's just like, It's so corny. Why?
Any superhero movie in particular you can think of?
Not at the top of my head right now.
Well, I'll make this very clear, and I know people are gonna shit on me for this, but I'm gonna be honest. And I already told Michael about it because we talked about the new Spider-Man movie, and I told him how I felt, and I could tell Michael was like, I told Michael that I don't like this kid version of Spider-Man because there's two versions of Spider-Man. There's a kid version of Spider-Man and there's the adult version. Obviously, I like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, like you told me a while ago, because he's more adult. And when he makes jokes, it kind of fits with him. Like in the third Spider-Man movie, what I like about Peter is that when he does make a joke, it's natural. It's natural. It's not forced. Because like in the third, did you see Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, like when he first meets Sandman when they're in that truck, then Sandman gets away, he sits on the balcony. He's like, where do these people come from? He like that's a natural reaction, and it was meant to be like just simple.
Yeah.
You watch Spider-Man Homecoming. There's a warehouse scene where he got stuck in it. He's doing all these things because he felt like hours passed by. He has that automatic computer in his head. And he's like, how long has it been? 36 minutes. 36 minutes? And I was like...
just kind of no. If you're gonna force the joke, then might as well not just say the joke.
Yeah, I was just like, I get it. He's trying to be young and dumb, but this is a little too much.
I guess if you're trying to cater to the kids, maybe, you'll get away with it.
Obviously, right?
But then to the rest of the population that are adults and are watching the movie, it's just like, it's just not that funny.
It's more like a checker. You're like, huh?
Yeah.
You're like, all right, well that happened. Wow, okay. And clearly, because I know anybody could tell me, well, it's a PG-13 movie. That's the thing. It's PG-13. Let me ask you, have you seen the new Suicide Squad by James Gunn?
Not yet.
What about the Snyder Cut of Justice League?
Okay, hold on. Dude, like I said, I haven't watched those movies in a while as well.
No, that's totally fine. I'm just trying to ask and see what you have seen. But okay, let me put it this way. Basically, when you watch a DC movie, what I like about it is that they don't hold back. If you watch the new Suicide Squad movie, oh my God, James Gunn went nuts in that movie. Everybody, like, when they die, they die. And you see it. Right. Like, you see people bleed, you see people being cut, and they did that with some of the other movies. But like, basically, what I like about the DC movies is that they're for a mature audience. It's not for kids, it's for a mature audience. Yeah. Where you watch Marvel movies, and not all the time, but sometimes they're a little too childish.
And I could totally see that direct comparison, definitely.
Before, I liked the first half of the Marvel universe because this was when it was just Marvel and they were making adult jokes and stuff like that.
It's just them like trying to establish like who they are, just like slowly building up into a crescendo.
No, not that. I know what you're saying. Obviously, they were building up a team. I meant like how they were acting. They were acting like adults. They talk like adults. They made jokes like adults. They were arguing back and forth, talking about mature stuff. Right. And then what happened later? Disney bought Marvel.
Right.
Because they wanted to come in with some of that cash grab, right? Because superhero movies are funnier. They're more popular. People want to go see them. So obviously they're going to put in more money to make a higher budget movie to gain a lot of that revenue.